If you're trying to get your first credit card or you're just getting started building credit, this video is going to save you a lot of time and potentially a lot of money. Because one of the biggest mistakes that beginners make is choosing the wrong first card. Either they apply for cards they won't get approved for, or they pick a card that doesn't benefit them in the long term. So in this video, I'm going to walk through some of the best credit cards for beginners, including cards you can apply for with no credit history and a few cards that you can grow into over time. And if you want simple breakdowns like this on credit cards and building credit, make sure to subscribe to the channel. First, let's quickly talk about what makes a good beginner credit card. There are really three things that you should be looking for. First, good approval odds. If you're new to using credit, you want to apply for cards where you have a high likelihood of actually being approved. Second, no annual fee. There's no reason to pay for a card with an annual fee when you're just starting out, and you really don't need to with all the great no annual fee options that are out there. And third is upgrade potential. Now, this is huge because some cards are great starting points, but they also give you a path to better cards in the future. And this is exactly how you end up building a strong credit card setup over the long term. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the list with our first card, the Discover It Secured. This is honestly one of the best beginner cards available right now, and it also happens to be my first credit card. Now, what makes a secured card unique is that you put down a refundable deposit, usually a few $100s, and this becomes your credit limit. Now, what makes the Discover Secured card stand out is that you can actually earn rewards. You're going to get a pretty strong cashback structure in the form of 2% back on gas, 2% back at restaurants, and then 1% back on everything else. And on top of that, Discover has a great deal where they will give you a full match on all the cash back you've earned in your first year. So for example, if you get around $500 in cash back that first year on the card, they will give you another $500. And if you do opt for the Discover Secured card, you do have a clear upgrade path to the regular Discover It cashback card, which has even better rewards. Next up, another great option in the world of secured credit cards is going to be the Citi Secured MasterCard. Now, this option is slightly more basic than the Discover card because it doesn't have any rewards, but it still helps you build credit when you're first starting out. And of course, there's going to be no annual fee, and of all of the cards that Citi offers, this one is going to have the lowest credit requirements when applying. Now, once you've had this card for a while and your credit improves, you can move into other cards like the Citi Double Cash or Citi's newer rewards card like the Strata. So the Citi Secured card can be a good foundational play if you're interested in the Citi ecosystem. Now, if you don't want to deal with putting down a deposit on a secured card, there are also some great beginner-friendly unsecured cards, starting off with the Chase Freedom Rise. Now, of all the cards that Chase offers, this is going to be the easiest to get approved for, and it's great to get a foot in the door to the Chase ecosystem. And on top of that, the reward structure on the Chase Freedom Rise is pretty robust. You're going to get 1.5% cash back on all purchases across the board. And if you do want to stick with Chase long term, there are some other great cards you can get down the road, like the Chase Freedom Unlimited or the Chase Sapphire Preferred. Next up, we have another solid beginner option with the Capital One Platinum card. Next up, we have another solid beginner option with the Capital One Platinum card. Now, Capital One actually has a host of beginner-friendly credit cards, so I would encourage you to check out all of the offerings they have on their site, but the Platinum card is going to have one of the lowest credit requirements of all their cards. This is just going to make it a lot easier to get approved if you have a limited credit history. Now, the Platinum card is very simple and no frills. You're not going to get any rewards, but you're also going to have no annual fee. It's just a straightforward and simple way to build credit when you're starting out. But the long-term potential is where things get more interesting, because eventually you'll have the chance to move to cards like the Capital One Saver Rewards, which is one of the best cashback cards on the market, or the Capital One Venture Rewards, which is one of the best catch-all travel cards. In my opinion, Capital One does have some of the best credit cards currently on the market. They're great for both cashback and travel, and also they have one of the most helpful travel portals for booking both flights and hotels because you're actually guaranteed a price match. Also, I think it's worth noting that the Capital One Platinum is one of the only cards on this list that doesn't carry any foreign transaction fees, which can be exceedingly rare for an introductory no annual fee card. Now, next up, if you already have a checkings or savings account with a bank, sometimes your easiest path to get approval for a new credit card is going through that bank. This is because your banking history can be a signal of trust that can boost your chance for approval. And that's where a card like the Bank of America Custom Cash Rewards comes in. Even if you haven't worked with the Bank of America before, this is definitely an underrated beginner card. There's no annual fee and you get a strong and flexible reward structure. Unlike many other cards on the market, Bank of America actually lets you choose the 3% rewards category of your choice. So to get that 3% cash back, you can choose from categories like dining, online shopping, gas, and more. Then on top of that, you get 2% back on groceries and 1% back on all other purchases. I do happen to use Bank of America, so this is a card I've had in my wallet for a long time, and I found it to be very useful. Now, staying with the trend of cards offered from brick and mortar banks, we have the Wells Fargo Active Cash Card. This is one of of the simplest and most popular beginner cashback cards. The reward structure is really simple on this one. It's going to earn a flat 2% cashback on every purchase across the board. There's no categories you need to worry about keeping track of, making this a great set and forget card. And if you want another great card with the same reward structure, you can check out the Citi Double Cash. It's basically identical to the Wells Fargo Active Cash. It's going to give you 2% cash back across the board. So if you already bank with either Citi or Wells Fargo, I think these are no-brainers to apply for. And finally, when it comes to American Express, the beginner options are a little bit more limited because the majority of their cards do carry annual fees with higher credit requirements. However, they do happen to have one great beginner card with no annual fee, and that's the AMEX Blue Cash Everyday. For me, this card rivals the Capital One Saver as one of the best cash rewards cards you can get. It truly is a great card for everyday spending, giving you strong multipliers like 3% on groceries, 3% on gas, and 3% on online retail. And of course, beyond those categories, you'll get 1% back on everything else. This card is going to introduce you to the American Express ecosystem, which can be valuable long-term if you're interested in other cards like the AMEX Gold, AMEX Green, or AMEX Platinum. You're also able to check your pre-approval for the card online without affecting your credit score. So having gone through all of these cards, how do you choose the best option for you? Well, here's a pretty simple way to think about it. If you have no credit history and you've struggled with getting denied in the past, start with a secured card from either Discover or Citi. If you want to get into a specific ecosystem, look at the beginner cards we discussed from either Chase, Capital One, or American Express. And if you already have some credit history, you can try getting pre-approved for any card that we discuss, as they all have pretty modest credit requirements. And a final tip for you, when you do eventually end up moving on from your first beginner card, make sure to leave it open and don't close it. This will improve the average age of your credit and help strengthen your credit score over time. If you have found this video helpful, please make sure to subscribe. I'll be breaking down more credit card strategies and comparisons to help you get the most out of your setup. And if you have any questions about which card is right for you, drop a comment below and I'll do my best to get back to you. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.